Hey, good morning. Several times in the last few weeks, it has come up in conversations with clients about the difference between guilt and shame. And our culture does a very poor job of differentiating between the two and understanding what they are. So I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk about how we deal with and where guilt and shame pop up in our lives. So to begin with, guilt is responsibility for something that you have done wrong. If I step on your toe, or if I cause a car accident, I'm guilty, I'm responsible for the thing that happened. And I may owe an apology, or I may owe a payment in order to make amends for that thing that went wrong. Shame is something completely different. And shame is a commentary of who we are as people and individuals. And it does not have so much to do with responsibility of something going wrong. It is usually a tearing down of who we are as a human being. The problem is that our culture lives in shame, and we very frequently use shame in the place of guilt. And so whether it's on the news, or whether it's how we talk about people that we don't agree with, or even how we talk about ourselves or to ourselves, we're frequently using shame in a way that is supposed to be guilt, but does not actually work that way. So to think of how you treat your coworkers or your family, the phrases to look out for, things that are more about who they are. What's wrong with you is a question that connotates shame instead of responsibility. That was a stupid thing to do. What were you thinking? Or that person is such an idiot. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of phrases that we use that are more about who the individual is and what's wrong with them as a person than a comment on their behavior or a mistake that they made. This impacts our family, our friends, and our businesses in terms of how we engage each other. If as an employer you're sitting down with an employee to talk about a problem and you lead with "what were you thinking?" doesn't address the problem, it addresses the individual. And shame specifically does not solve problems. Brené Brown, in her Power of Vulnerability, talks about how shame is not a problem-solving tool. Guilt and responsibility can be, but shame is not. And it becomes very difficult to resolve issues when shame is being used as a tool. Then turn that and look at yourself. How do you talk to yourself? And if you speak to yourself in terms of commenting on that voice in your head or on your shoulder of how you approach the world, if you wouldn't speak to someone else that way, why would you treat yourself that way? So, the commentary in your ear of, "I'm such an idiot," or "that was a silly mistake," or "I'm not good enough," is living in that shame, and it washes over us. We're unable to get out from underneath it unless we stop it. The challenge then becomes to focus more on the issues at hand and who's responsible, a problem that our culture currently has in terms of being accountable, and getting away from living in that culture of shame where there's just things wrong with everyone. I challenge you this week to take some time to look at the phrases that you use with others and yourself. Are you using shame, or are you using guilt and responsibility as a communication tool? Anything that you can do to get yourself to the point of reducing the amount of shame. And once you start to see it, it's difficult to not see it and how much there is in our culture. But find ways to be more compassionate with yourself and less judgmental of who you are and who others are, and focus more on what the actual problem is and who's responsible. That will lead to solutions. Feel free to comment in the comment section below. Please ask any questions you may have. I'm John Rhoads, and as always, I hope you're able to find purpose and meaning in your day today.